It was a thriller in the sixth. No Steph on the floor. KD dropping 51, as you just heard, in a loss to Toronto. Max?
Yep.
Finals preview?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Toronto's going to make the finals, I believe. You look at how deep this team is, as I say, just follow the brains in the NBA. You know, in the Western Conference, if Popovich is always going to have a competitive team, even when he doesn't have stars. Daryl Morey's a great GM, obviously what Golden State's doing. And in the East, the brains reside in Boston and Toronto. Masai Ujiri, who is excellent in Denver, is excellent wherever he goes, has constructed a deep and excellent roster. I believe they will get out of the East because now, instead of DeMar DeRozan, they have an MVP candidate, really, in Kawhi Leonard. That said, Stephen A., it's kind of a depressing result last night because there the Warriors were on the road without Steph. KD goes off, and they get the W in overtime. What the message we got is this is a finals preview. Maybe at some point along this line this year, along the way, I will convince myself into thinking that Toronto, has a chance to beat the Warriors. If the Warriors are healthy, it's another season in the bag. The Warriors cannot be beaten. Stephen A., they did that on the road against the best team in the East, and they did it without Steph. And they did it with Kawhi giving them 37 and 8. Siakam and all these guys, a lot of these guys played well and still lost because they couldn't stop KD. Season's over.
Well, first of all, we asked you for a preview of the finals, not the outcome of the finals. That's number one. Number two, I'm not going to concede yet. I'm not going to concede yet that this is a preview of the finals because I'm not giving up on the Boston Celtics. I totally get where you're coming from. I don't blame you for talking about Toronto the way that you do. I've been very impressed with them, no doubt about it. There is clearly a difference between Kawhi Leonard and DeMar DeRozan. We get all of that. But Siakam had 26 last night. He balled. You know how I feel about Kyle Lowry. He's a little pit bull and highly competitive, goes after it. But I'm not giving up on Boston. I think Boston's problems have been primarily about getting Gordon Hayward re-ingratiated into things, along with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum's game suffering, and I don't think that's going to last. I think as the season progresses, I think in short order the Boston Celtics are going to get their house in order, and I think they're going to make a run and remind everybody that they are one of the top two teams in the Eastern Conference. They're going to play like it, and we will see then. I don't like what I'm seeing from them thus far. I'll give you that. Toronto clearly has been the class of the Eastern Conference thus far. I'll give you that. I love the length and athleticism on the talent that they have. I get why they are a threat, particularly with Kawhi Leonard, who, by the way, had 37 last night on 14 to 24 shooting. But I'm not giving up on the Boston Celtics. I think as this season progresses, they will rise to the occasion. They will rise to the challenge because they will feel this season,
I agree that Boston is going to play better. They will not play like this all year because it's just not the way it works. If you have Kyrie and Hayward and Brown and Tatum and Horford in your starting lineup and you have a bench and a great coach, I'm sorry, they will figure it out at some point. And I understand they have more brand names than Toronto. But let's not forget, Toronto won the East last year without Kawhi. And as much as everyone said, you were one of them who said LeBron has their number, he's their kryptonite, whatever else it is, really I think that had much more to do with the fact that the best player on the team was not a truly elite MVP caliber player. Kawhi is playoff tested and proven and a legit MVP caliber player. And when you add him to a maturing and developing deep roster, where when you think of their forwards like Anunoby, I didn't even mention Ibaka, guys like that, everywhere you look, there's a guy who can really play and who is bought in. I just think the way they function as a group will be the difference against a more brand name team like Boston.
Max, hold on 1 second. Here's the concern, though. Kyle Lowry. Do you feel like he's going to play at an all-star level when the playoffs come around? Because he hasn't done it.
Kyle Lowry has been overly relied upon on that team, along with DeRozan. And last year, Stephen A., the problem was they played just the right way, moved the ball, the whole thing, until crunch time in close games. And it happened throughout the season. I noticed it. Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan reverted to hero ball, and they got much less efficient at the end of games. Kawhi Leonard's not that kind of player. And you can see Lowry now realizes there's enough around him, guys who can actually score and do things. He's behaving like a true point guard. What do you have, 10 or 12 points last year?
And why am I going like this? Why am I going like this? Because you sound eerily similar to exactly how you sounded last year when you were talking about the Raptors and you swore they were going to win in the playoffs and you swore they were going to beat Cleveland. And not only did they lose to Cleveland, they got swept. And these are similar statements. Now, granted, Kawhi Leonard, that is different because obviously he wasn't on the Raptors, and you pointed that out, and I'll give you that. But outside of that, everything you just said is what you were saying about Toronto last year. And even in the midst, you wasn't there to talk about during the regular season. When the playoffs began, you said it. When they went up against Cleveland before the series, you said it. And not only did you say it, you didn't. It's not like you sat up there and said, well, LeBron's going to get them, but this is going to be an interesting series, and they'll win a couple of games. No, you said LeBron is going home. Kevin Love is going home. The Cavs are going home. LeBron will lose. And not only did they win, they swept them. It's
Correct.
the same thing you said. So
okay, here are the differences. Okay. You mentioned Kawhi. We can't just like say, oh, Kawhi, but let's put that aside.
Okay,
that is all the difference. However, it's not actually all the difference because there are more. A developing Siakam and Anunoby should not be overlooked. It's no longer Van Vliet that you look at and you go, he's the real difference off the bench. No, they have so many guys who are improving so fast and are really effective players. And then Nick Nurse's offense, Stephen A., was, hey, let's redo this, guys. Look, DeMar, we know you don't shoot the three well, but you at least have to shoot it because at least the threat will space the floor a little better. But the fact is, DeRozan doesn't shoot it well enough. Well, now in Nick Nurse's system, you have Kawhi shooting those threes, but they're going in because Kawhi can really shoot the three. And it makes all the difference. So the system is actually working better. Their top player is better. Their supporting cast is better. I mean, and by the way, I haven't even mentioned Danny Green.